Web Archive is available through our Trove service, which is a kind of an integrated search engine or a federated search engine that covers collection material in all Australian libraries, or most Australian libraries, that includes like digitised newspapers and digitised books, as well as actual physical books that haven't been digitised. You can sort of search for the holdings of all of the different libraries. So that service provides a unified way of discovering material, and the Web Archive is one of the, we call them islands within that service. Currently the Web Archive is essentially all public and people can access it, except where there's been specific takedowns for copyright or objectionable material or illegal material or so forth. But everything other than that is publicly accessible.
Is it accessible everywhere, or do you have to come on the site?
Accessible everywhere, with certain things where there has been a copyright concern or a particular concern about the material. Certain restricted things are inaccessible on site, but the majority of the content is available anywhere in the world.
We have the typical Wayback Machine URL search, then we have full text search, so anyone can do like a Google-like search, but for the past, which is quite useful, and that is what people think when we talk about access or search is something that is Google-like. Anything less than that, the users get very disappointed. It must be really fast, really relevant. So this was one of the challenges that we addressed since the beginning, and we became quite successful to providing that service, at least for our limited scope. Then we have advanced search, so that people can limit their search by phrase or excluding terms. We have image search, so people can look for images. And we have APIs for all this. So if somebody wants to build added value applications, they can do that using our APIs. And it is everything publicly available.
We have special tools with search engines, full text search engines for all the websites and the videos that we capture related to the websites, and also a specialized search engine for Twitter.
They can find it through Archive It. It's also replayed in the Wayback Machine, but we've been trying as much as possible to migrate the work files and deposit them into our repository. So we kind of have a workflow there, and if it gets into the repository and it gets descriptive metadata, then we can have the catalog records accessible in our search discovery environment, SearchWorks. And we also have the Stanford Web Archive portal, which is our own playback environment. So you can access seeds and crawls that are in the digital repository, and they'll play back in, we call it SWAP, the Stanford Web Archiving portal. So we kind of have multiple ways people can access the content. Because I'm not sure if the content will be removed from Archive It.
No.
I imagine it will just kind of be there as long as it can be preserved.
They can only access our Web Archive on national library and regional library premises due to copyright restrictions.
They are, yeah. We have a full text index that we recently built of everything, including both the selective crawls and the domain crawls.
So through SWAP, the portal, they can search by URL there. But otherwise, it would be kind of a keyword or subject term search in our discovery catalog, or in Archive It in that search interface.
They can only access so far searching by URL. And then we have a list of websites or seeds included in every selective collection, so they can find some of the seeds we have inside.
We've done a little, yes. For our most recent user interface redesign, we did a user experience study that looked into the usability of the archive primarily. And we've done some surveys about how people are using the archive.
Can you summarise some of the findings?
Yeah. So particularly the user experience survey is the one I'm more familiar with, or the user experience testing. One of the primary findings was that people didn't understand the web archive. They would often stumble into it, or even if they were specifically trying to use it, they would not understand the relationship between the original live website and the archived one, and sort of had trouble grokking what they were looking at. We also found that it could be a struggle at times to be able to find information within the archive. That search, in particular, providing good search services is something we've struggled with, and that users could find that quite frustrating.
Yeah, we know many user stories. We don't have quantitative measurement about that, because as the service is openly available, we don't have a login, so it's just publicly available. We don't track our users, so we don't have statistics about what they do. But we have the annual awards in which people submit works that they have done using our web archive. So the main conclusion is that they use it for everything. It's everything in every area. It was quite surprising to know the actual works, not something that they said they can do. They did it. All kinds of humanities, biology, computer science, so all kinds of work can be done.
Not really. That's been a gap that I think we have, where we do know it gets used. We get through kind of various feedback mechanisms, not only when people have problems, but we've had those stories that just make you feel good, where it's like, yes, you have this. You don't understand how important that this is. Oftentimes, it's actually federal agencies who are really happy that old versions of their websites still exist or were captured as part of the end of term. Or one agency is really happy that we captured parts of a committee in the cyber cemetery. So we do hear from that, but we have not done a good job of really understanding our users of the web archives. I think we have a much better sense of how users of our general digital libraries interact with our content, but the web archive specifically is something that's kind of a mystery, and we should do a better job at.
This is a topic that we've struggled with a bit, and not just for the web archive, but for some of our other collections as well. There's kind of a balance there that the library has to be a little bit careful with issues like copyright and privacy, because particularly the web archive contains a lot of information about people. The domain crawls they're not just business public websites but also people's personal websites and material about them. We kind of, within the library, we have a takedown process where people can, if there's material about them, we can take it down. But if we provide data sets of that data, we lose the ability to do that, and the ability to kind of enforce the privacy of it. So there's sort of a balance there that the library is concerned about. It's also been difficult due to resourcing to be able to, we find ourselves so behind in terms of being able to collect material and just making it the sort of the basic replay work, that putting a lot of time and effort into building data sets and so forth is kind of has not been a priority for us. But I think if there were, if we had some more interest from the researcher community, which we haven't had a lot of to date, in terms of, there's been a lot of interest in terms of just sort of basic usage of going and looking at older websites, but there hasn't been we haven't been contacted too much. There's been a couple, but we haven't been approached too much about people wanting large data sets. And I think if there was more of a demand for it, it's something we would probably be able to put more time into.
Yes, for example, in the case that I said before, when we made specific collections around a topic which is not specifically related to media, because the attacks, for example, has nothing to do with our natural domain of collection, we make specific corpus or dataset to show people this, why, to explain to them why they will find some specific tweets about these kind of topics. So it's a way of presentation in our application where people can understand how it works and how they will understand the different parts of the archive.
I think data sets are one of the ways that we can kind of engage researchers in working with the tool or working with our collections. Just the way that web archives are created, they're not exactly like super user-oriented. The files as a whole, there's a lot to actually get into them. They're big, they're messy. It's hard to like really understand how to put things together. So I think extracting data sets that are much more like rectangular in scope that can fit into spreadsheets is usually helpful. They're really long spreadsheets, but at least they're things that people can work with. We've worked with creating some basic data sets for the end of term work, and that's making just even the CDX files available for others to do just a high level analysis of where content's coming from, what was gathered. And then we've worked with making some Twitter data sets available, which is the API crawling of Twitter for various events. And then we're currently working on a research project that's going to have 3 data sets out of that, which are they're data sets from a web archive that have kind of categorized as so labeled data sets. A lot of the data sets that we can provide access are just like, you know, reduced dumps of the data that's in our web archive. But some of these we're trying to actually label as, you know, this would be useful in our collection or not useful in our collection, so that hopefully like some of the machine learning folks could get involved with our collections and help us identify content a little bit better.